It had taken him a minute to recognize her. He wasn't much of a reader, but he'd seen her picture in the morning paper. "Miss McCabe?" "Yes?" "You can wait if you like, or I can check and see if the captain's available." Captain? She didn't know the captain or this young cop with a dimple in his chin. She wanted Ed. "I'd rather wait." Since he was already balancing 2 soft drinks and a fat file, he nodded to a chair in the corner. Grace sat, closed her hands over her purse, and waited. She saw a woman walk in, blonde and beautifully dressed in a rose silk suit. She didn't look like a person who had business with homicide. A professional woman or a politician's young wife, Grace decided, although she hadn't the energy to go further, as she usually did, and attach an imaginary history to the unknown face. She looked away again toward the hall. "Hey, Tess," the young cop called from his desk. "It's about time we got some class in here." She smiled and walked over to stand beside him. "Ben's not here." "Out playing detective. I had an hour and thought he might be able to swing an early lunch." She started out, then spotted Grace. Tess recognized her from book jackets and newspaper photos. She recognized, too, the look of strain and grief on her face. As a doctor, she found it almost impossible to walk away. Crossing the room, she waited until Grace glanced up. "Miss McCabe, I'm Tess. Tess Paris, Ben's wife." "Oh, hello." "Are you waiting for Ed?" "Yes." "Looks like we're both out of luck. Do you want to walk outside? It's a nice day." Tess led the way out, then leaned against the banister. "Sometimes it helps to talk to someone who isn't involved." Grace turned her head, shielding her eyes with her hand. "Ed said you were beautiful." Tess smiled. "Ed's a sweet man." She recognized the squeal of brakes and glanced over toward the parking lot, thinking that Ed must be driving. "If you're in town for a while and need to talk, let me know." As Grace watched Ed approach, her palms grew damp, and she rubbed them against her jeans. "I found this when I was going through the sympathy and florist cards this morning." She took out the plain white envelope she'd slipped the card into and handed it to him. Ed drew it out, turning it so Ben could read it as he did. "Does this mean something to you, Grace?" "Yes." She closed her purse, wondering why she felt nauseated. She hadn't eaten. That was the name Kathy was using for fantasy. Kathleen was Desiree. That was her cover, you see. Her cover so no one would know who or where she was, but someone did, and he killed her. In short order, Grace found herself seated in Captain Harris's office. Very slowly, and with a coherence she'd just found again, she related the story of Kathleen's involvement with fantasy. "I was concerned at first with her talking to some creep who might give her trouble, but she explained the system, how no one but the main office had her number, and how she didn't even use her own name. Desiree. She told me that was the name she was using for the calls. I didn't even remember it until I saw the card. No one but the people she worked for and the people she talked to knew her by that name." "Is it possible your sister told someone else about her moonlighting, about the name?" "I have to say no." She accepted the cigarette Ben passed to her. "Kathy was very private. If she'd had a close friend, maybe, but she didn't." She drew deep, then exhaled. "She told you," Ed reminded her. "Yes, she told me." Grace paused a moment. She had to keep her mind clear. "Jonathan? He could have known." "The ex-husband?" Harris asked. "Yes, when I talked to him at the funeral, he admitted that he knew Kathy had hired a lawyer and a detective. If he knew that much, it's likely he knew the rest. I asked him what he would have done to keep Kath from getting custody of Kevin, and he told me he'd have done whatever became necessary." "Grace," Ed passed her a styrofoam cup of tea. "Breezewood was in California the night your sister was murdered." "Men like Jonathan don't kill. They hire other people to do it. He hated her. He had a motive." "We have no proof that your former brother-in-law had any part in your sister's murder." Harris, his hands clasped together, leaned forward on his desk. "And there is nothing whatever to tie him to the second murder." "Second murder?" Forcing herself to take slow, even breaths, she turned to Ed. "There was another?" "Last night. We need a link, Grace. Did you know Mary Grice?" "Captain!" The young cop stuck his head in the door. "We've got some tax information on Mary Grice." He glanced at Grace before handing the printout to Harris.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.